Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Man Cave once again. Jeff, good evening from or how's Orlando tonight?
Orlando tonight is hot and humid.
And my excellent wife upstairs running the board. Let's say that she's running the board. Oh man, guys, it's been a week here at the Man Cave. I started my new job this week, and I've been working during the day instead of at night this week, getting trained up on new systems and new things. And I haven't been turned loose to go back to my regular weekend shift work yet. So, oh boy, it's been different. I can't tell you guys how long it's been since I've worked a 40-hour week during the day, Monday through Friday. It's been so long, and I am so out of kilter because of this. Beth, glad you could make it. Anthony, Mike, Hank, some of our regulars are here early. Uh, all right. Jeffrey, I'm going to have a drink tonight because it's bourbon night, and I've been looking forward to this night all week. Uh, I picked up a new bottle of the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve today, and that's what I'm having tonight. Jeff, are you having a drink with us tonight?
Absolutely.
What you
Have me
got?
some Jack number 7.
Some old number seven.
Yep.
Tanya, do you have a coffee rolling up there tonight?
No, ginger ale tonight.
Ginger ale.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Eric. Russ is here with us in the house, and Andy and Anurag's here. Boy, he must have got off work early today. Out there on the left coast, it's still early out there. Fran, glad you could make it in. So, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Ginger tea. I guess it's too early for Anurag to open a bottle. It's 5:30 in San Diego. Scott, glad you could make it.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. So, Mike, I'm still an X-ray tech. I just went to a different local hospital that had a financial package that suits my taste a little better than what I had before. So, yeah. Anurag, guys, he's a professor, and I don't know how many of you know Anurag is a professor at San Diego State University. So he's got some I guess business and finance majors out there. And Paul, I saw that you were in the Outer Banks this week. I saw that you had posted some pictures from out there, out in the Kitty Hawk and Kill Devil Hills area. Tanya and I've been out there, and Tanya, we got to get back out there. I really enjoyed that trip. We live in North Carolina, but still, the Outer Banks is a 7.5 hour drive from here. It's a long haul from where we are out to Nags Head. And but man, we had a real Tanya treated me to a 4 or 5 day vacation out there right after I graduated from X-ray school back in 2009, and that's the only time I've been to the Outer Banks. And we toured the entire Outer Banks all the way from up just a little bit north of Ocracoke. I didn't take a vehicle on that trip that was suitable to drive on the sand, so when the pavement ended up at Ocracoke, we turned around and went back down to I'm sorry, not Ocracoke. Tanya, what's the northern end called? That Ocracoke is the southern end. The
It is.
What's
We
the
were up
lighthouse?
in Kill Devil Hills area.
No, it was way north of that.
It
That
was
lighthouse up
Corolla.
Corolla. Yeah, before we got to Corolla, we had to turn around and come back. So that last lighthouse up there as far north as we went. So
Yeah,
yeah, off
Anthony, we
season
were near Duck because we had Duck Donuts
we did. We ate at the Duck Donuts. So
before it went
that was
insanely popular.
that was a treat. We enjoyed that.
We were near Kitty Hawk.
Yeah, we stayed in Nags Head, so that's right next to Kitty Hawk. And Kill Devil Hills.
Corova,
Yeah.
Northern Point.
So, yeah, Corolla is where the last lighthouse that we saw going north, but not too far past Corolla, the pavement ends. And if you want to go further, you've got to drive on the beach. And uh, I was not driving a vehicle on that trip that was suitable to take off the pavement. So, yeah, that's what we did, Paul. We took the ferry down to Ocracoke and went through Hatteras. The ferry takes you over to Cape Hatteras, and uh, then Anyway, yeah, the
That was
wild horses
fun.
are up north. We didn't get to see those. So anyway, Tanya, I'm going to bring you back. Thanks for doing what you do up there. We're going to get kicking here. I haven't. I've got some cooking that we're gonna talk about, but I haven't done any cooking since the weekend because of this work schedule. Jeff, however, has gotten some cooking done here since our last cooking talk. Jeff, oh crap, hang on. Of course, from the time I brought that up, it's logged me out, and I'm going to have to sign back into Google. So give me just a second. It won't take me but a moment here, hopefully, to get cranked back into. That's why I come up here and log in early, and it's still right before the live stream starts. It kicks me out of my Google account, and I've got to come back in here and log back in. So here we go. Jeff must have been cooking for his granddaughter again this week.
You think?
Yeah, I think Miss Gracie is a connoisseur of some of the world's finest lamb ribs and rack of lamb, and those look delicious.
She loves her lamb lollipops.
Yeah, I do too, and I wish other people in my family like those, but they don't. So if I buy a rack of lamb, I've either got to eat it all or I've got to split it down into pieces and cook them individually. And I really like cooking the whole rack because it's difficult to get one lamb chop cooked rare. You can't really get much of a sear or a crust on the outside before it's cooked all the way through. And these things are best served on the rare side, in my opinion, and it's easier to pull that off with a whole rack. So are you cooking on the Big Joe there?
Nope, that's the pellet.
Oh, the pellet Joe. Okay.
Yep.
I should have seen that. I didn't look closely enough. What did you put on these?
The usual, rubbed them down with some olive oil, and then the bruschetta seasoning by McCormick's. That stuff is great on lamb. It really is.
Anurag, I did a video on lamb ribs not too terribly far back, and they were excellent. And I made a North African seasoning blend to go on those that was really good. That video is out there in the Atlanta Grill Company collection somewhere. And they were excellent lamb ribs. They were lamb ribs that I got from Porter Road. They were phenomenal. They were truly amazing. So were you were running really hot here, Jeff? Did you have that pellet Joe cranked?
450.
Right.
And let it, go till I got a nice crust on each side.
Looks like you put some nice color on those.
Yep.
Do you season yours ahead and let them dry brine in that seasoning for a while, or you just season and go straight to the grill?
I try to season about an hour ahead.
Mm-hmm. Do it sometime. Season those things up and give them an overnight ride in the seasoning sometime. See what you think.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to vacuum seal them, but I would probably just wrap them back up and if you don't vacuum seal them, I'd wrap them back up in plastic wrap.
I think vacuum seal, you may pop the bags with those rib bones.
Sure.
They're kind of sharp.
Well, one thing you could do if they'll fit in your bag, if you take the bones and wrap a layer or two of paper towels around those, it'll keep them from puncturing the bag. So that you can do. But I think I'm curious about how those do in a dry brine situation overnight. I'm sure they would probably take the flavor fairly well, but these look.
I'll do that next time. Give it a shot.
Did you give me a picture of those cut down?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Let me
We
check my
got some.
pictures.
We got some salmon.
Oh yeah. You got to have salmon with the cedar plank done on the alpha. With
I haven't tried that.
oh
So
man, that's out of the world.
you hit these with the Atlanta Grill Company River Street Seaboard.
Yep,
Did they
that's
get
my
an
go-to.
advanced? Did they get an advanced seasoning?
Nope, they went seasoned right on. I mean, that meat is so thin, it's not going to take much, to get that taste in there.
Right. So you put these in the Alpha One.
Yep.
Were you running really hot?
About 700.
That looks
I
pretty
think
hot.
as you pull them, you'll see that the planks got pretty well charred, which
Right.
is what you really want. I mean, if you don't get your planks charred, you're not getting any of that flavor up into your meat.
Yeah.
Some people
This.
char their planks ahead of time.
hmm
I don't on the alpha. It's not needed.
This slow motion of the fire is just mesmerizing.
I know, isn't it? I love doing the slow motion on that.
Yeah,
It's just nice.
that's cool. And here's another video clip. I should have preloaded these where they're cached already, and
Yeah.
I didn't think to do that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Here's the finished product.
Yeah, you see how well those cedar planks got charred.
hmm
And I let that go till the salmon was 140,
hmm
and it was just fall apart, fork tender. I mean, it's nice.
That salmon's got some good color on it too. That alpha, I've cooked fish in the alpha, but I haven't done it on cedar planks. I did some. I can't remember if I made a video on this or not. I did some Chilean sea bass in iron pans.
But yeah, you did. You had the video on that, John.
Did I make video? So
Yeah. But I'll tell you
it
what,
looked
try it on the planks. You may not want to get rid of your alpha after you do it, buddy.
well. Yeah, I'm still. I'm not going to keep the alpha. I haven't found a buyer for that yet, but it is for sale. And yeah, I know how good the alpha cooks. I've got no doubt in my mind about it. That's not. I'm not getting rid of it because it's not a great cooker. That's. I'm just getting rid of it because it's not. My philosophy on it is I don't have enough of an audience using it that I'm going to continue to cook on it. So I may end up keeping it simply because I won't be able to find a buyer for it around here. But I don't know if I'll make any more content on it or not. But this fish looks great. I can tell by looking down here at the bottom edge on this one that that's a perfect cook because that color's still there. And
Yep.
when you start to see that protein oozing out of the edge, that's when that salmon's ready. You can
Yep.
you can cook salmon by watching it. It's
Yes,
one
you
of
can.
these fish. It's one of these fish that you can see the opacity changes and you can see the visual cues of when it's ready. You don't have to throw a thermometer at this stuff. So that looks great, Jeff. And you served it up with a nice looking salad here.
Yep. It's just salmon and salad. The other folks in the family broke the salmon up and put it in the salad. I chose to have mine on the side.
That's the way I do it too. I wouldn't. That's like that's like making spaghetti sauce with filet mignon. You want to
Yep.
enjoy that. You want to order that. You want to enjoy that salmon as a salmon rather than as a texture piece. That looks delicious. We got some ribs. These are these baby backs or pork spares?
Those are pork spares. Kathy wanted regular pork spares this time, so
Yeah, I was gonna say I hadn't seen you cook a rack of pork spares in a while. What's
I,
Kathy's problem, Jeff? What's going on there that she would not want those extra meaty baby backs that we've been cooking?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to have a talk with Miss Kathy and find out what it is because if she knows something we don't, we got to figure it out.
Well, and actually, she didn't like these that much because what she actually prefers is the St. Louis cut, where you don't have the, it's all bone. So
Right.
that's what I'll probably get next time, get them St. Louis, When she
Well,
wants
let me tell
something,
you
she gets it.
Don't buy the St. Louis cut. Trim these down to that cut and throw the rib tips on there with it.
Yeah, could do that. Save
Maybe
money.
that's something. Maybe that's some. I need to check the Man Cave Meals. The Man Cave Meals YouTube channel. You know, I'm so out of touch with some of the content that I've created in the past. I don't remember if I have a Man Cave Meals video on how to trim the St. Louis cut. That's a good, easy process.
Yep.
And I don't think when I see St. Louis cut ribs in the grocery store, they cost more per pound than this does. And it's just like buying a brisket flat instead of a full packer. They're charging you more per pound because of the work they did to break it down for you. But,
And what's ridiculous is it probably takes you less than 5 minutes to break those down
right,
into St. Louis ribs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hit that just right, sharp knife, you take it right down, it's a done deal.
Because what I do here, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving on this screen
Yep.
or not, but I trim off at the end down here to square it up. And then when you flip this guy over to the back side, there's a line on there that is the line. You need to run your knife down. And this meat here, you don't want to throw that meat out because that is some amazing meat.
Yep.
You're either going to grind it or dice it and use it in chili or something. Or when I used to cut down St. Louis, I would throw the rib tips on the grill and let them cook. And I would cut them down into smaller pieces, and that became what I like to call a pitmaster snack, because cutting them down into small pieces, they would come ready before the ribs did, and you could munch on those a little bit while the ribs are still cooking. But
it's those are seasoned up with the Georgia butts and ribs, and then topped off with the Myron Mixon hickory.
Right.
I like that 2-layer combination on ribs. That really comes out good.
Yeah. So you're ready to foil here, and you're going to put some Run Amok maple on it.
Yep. I let these go for 3 hours at 200. Then I put the Run Amok maple on and bumped it up to 300 for about an hour and 45. Then unwrapped and sauced them and let them go for maybe 20, 30 more minutes to tack up the sauce.
Did you put anything on it in the foil besides the maple?
Nope, just the maple syrup.
Jeff, have you ever tried the squeeze butter thing on rib? How do you like that?
It didn't impress me.
You didn't like it?
Well, I didn't say I didn't like it. It just didn't impress me.
Yeah, I think I haven't played with the squeeze butter in a really long time, but I think it helps with a shiny appearance sometimes.
Oh, it will do that.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't done it in a long time. Janice, glad you could jump in here with us tonight. So here's Jeff's finished ribs. Those things look pretty good. You got a nice ring. You got a nice smoke ring down there.
Yep, they came out finger licking good.
Awesome. 2 racks of them.
Yeah, we ate on for 2 days.
Yeah.
In my younger days, I would have eaten a rack by myself, but
yeah,
I can't do that anymore.
I'm looking forward to introducing some of my new coworkers to barbecue at some point. I was telling Tanya about that today. I got to wait till I get settled in, but these guys don't know about my barbecue yet. So
you'll be their new best friend.
I hope so. That would be nice. I like for them to at least like me for some reason. And if it's my cooking, that's good enough. So, Anthony, we haven't talked about that. And we were talking about making
breakfast pizzas.
Were we talking about putting grits on the pizza or making a grits crust?
No, I don't think a grits crust would hold up. We talked about putting grits on it. We're talking about layering it with, since you had your dough, you had your grits, you had your sausage gravy, you had your scrambled eggs.
Wait a minute here. Tanya's got something to say.
Yeah, I was saying a lot of things, and it started with an I and ended with an S. Idiots know the grits crust can happen. I know how to make it happen. Don't doubt me
Okay.
on this grits crust.
Tanya, don't let me forget this, because that Anthony, I hate to admit it, but that had slipped slipped way back here into the back somewhere. Tanya, let's talk about this week, and
Okay.
we're going to make a breakfast pizza. We were talking to Matt about that when we had Matt on, and so we want to do a breakfast pizza. All right.
That's definitely some parchment paper.
Well,
no.
not necessarily. I don't
I don't
like
think-
cooking on parchment paper.
Just
Yeah, but I think
watching
I think you're gonna need to start it off.
Why?
I think if you don't, I think it's gonna fall apart.
We're not going to do a grits crust.
Yes,
That's what
we
Tanya
are.
wants. That's what Tanya wants.
We
Tanya
are
wants
doing
it.
a grits crust, and I totally
Okay.
know how to make it happen.
All right, guys. Keep that in mind. Tanya says we can pull off a grits crust. If we can't pull off a grits
Totes.
crust, we
It's gonna be
might,
one hell of a mess.
we might make a shrimp and grits pizza. So, okay, Tanya, we'll bring you back. Thanks for reminding me there. No, I don't know how Tanya's planning to make that work. I'm gonna make her show me. So,
Only way I can think of is on parchment paper to get it to set. Once it sets, then you can get it off the parchment paper. But
well,
to be
here's
able to
another
launch
thing.
it,
They could be smaller pizzas. If this is going to be a breakfast thing, it doesn't need to be huge. And I have this pan over here. It's one of these USA pans that I bought a long time ago that's designed to make hamburger buns. And it's got circles in it. They're about the
That
size
would
of a
be-
hamburger bun. I might be able to pull off a grits base in that pan. I need to show Tanya
That would work.
pan. Or those small Lodge cast irons. Oh, that's the ticket right there. The
that
small
would work
Lodge.
too.
Yes.
But if you want, like I said, if you wanted to try to launch it like a pizza and whatnot in a regular wood fire, you're gonna need parchment
small
paper to.
Lodge irons would be a perfect method maybe for cooking that. So Tanya, keep that in mind. We'll talk about that too. But something needs to be a hot cook, because those grits need to crisp up on the pan edge. So we'll
Yeah,
talk about
you're
that.
definitely gonna have to preheat your cast iron if you want that.
Yeah. So let me bring up.
But I like that idea. I like that idea of the Lodge pans. Throw a lot of butter in there and throw your grits
Yeah.
down on a hot pan.
Heck yeah.
I think that would come out most excellent.
All right. We'll run through some of the stuff that I've done in the last couple weeks that I haven't talked on here about. I wanted to make some hot honey. I had a really great harvest this summer of ghost peppers and habanero peppers. And once again, I still have not really figured out the best way to tame the ghosts yet. I'm learning, guys, because these ghost peppers, these boot jolokia, or however you might pronounce that, maybe Anurag can help me with a pronunciation on boot, B-H-U-T, jolokia, Jolokia. 2 words is the I guess the formal name for these ghost peppers that I've grown. And they're so stupid hot that it's you if you touch these things without rubber gloves on, forget it. You're not going to survive it. You're going to touch something else even after you wash your hands, and you're going to burn yourself, and you're going to regret doing it. Tanya's going to take over. Hey guys, Tanya is an inspiration for quite a few things you've seen me do. So don't think that Tanya is not playing a role in my content, because she is. So, but anyway, hot honey. I bought some inexpensive honey. I didn't want to use my good locally bought honey for a test. So I bought 2 of these. There we go. Anurag says boot means ghost in Hindi. So there it is. That's helpful. I bought some inexpensive honey. I bought these 2 12-ounce bottles, and I used one of them in this project. So I dumped my honey into this is a small cast iron saucepan that I have. It's about a 1 quart saucepan. And into that, over here, I think I used 2 teaspoons of the diced dried habanero peppers. I didn't do this with Ghost. And over in the other little tin there, I've got a little bit of cider vinegar to kick the sweetness back just a touch. And I think the next time I do this, I'm probably going to up the quantity of cider vinegar in it, because I would really like for my hot honey to not be quite as sweet as regular honey. And the I just wasn't quite exactly where I wanted to be. So next time I do it, I'm going to add a little more of the cider vinegar. But what I did was I dumped my dried habanero into the honey, and I slowly brought this up to a simmer. You have to be careful when you're heating something like honey, because it will go out of control on you very quickly when it gets hot. And you don't want to boil this. You basically just want to bring it up to a very mild simmer, and you have to watch it, because it will start to get foamy on top about the time it's getting ready to go crazy on you. So we put that in there. I just stirred it in, and I also added, I think what you see here is about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Salt's a flavor enhancer, guys. Think about salted caramel, and you'll think about where we're going with salt in this. Next time I make this, I'm going to go ahead and go with a full 1/4 teaspoon of salt instead of 1/8 of a teaspoon, and put that in there. And here's where you see it start to simmer. And when it gets to this point, what I did was I stirred it constantly to keep it from foaming up and boiling over. And I turned the heat off immediately when it got to this point. And I just let this steep in that heat for 10 or 15 minutes until it stopped this. And then basically I let it cool for a while. And I got a mason jar, and I got my canning funnel and a fine mesh strainer. And what we did at that point is I just poured the honey off into the jar, and I strained out those habanero peppers. I did not want to leave the diced habanero in this. I wanted to take it out. I think you could leave it in, but what's going to happen is whatever container you're storing your honey in, that habanero is going to settle to the bottom. It's not going to stay suspended, and you're not going to actually be able to shake that up and redistribute it without dumping it out and stirring it. But here's the habanero that was left behind, and I just tossed that out. I just discarded it. And at this point, my honey is, when I put that into my honey was about 110 or 120 degrees or so when I went to the jar with it. And at that point, I put the cider vinegar in, and I just stirred it. And the cider vinegar, I got it completely mixed in with that. And then I funneled it back into the jar back into the plastic bottle that I took it out of. And let me tell you guys, this was amazing. I was really incredibly surprised at the results I got with this. That honey is hot, but it's not overpowering hot. I think I hit the mark probably on my first try with how much habanero I put in there. Jeff, do you like hot honey?
Yep, I bet you that would be good on those ribs.
Well, it might be good for ribs, but there's a lot of other things. The thing that inspired me to do this was Freddie up in Boston. Fred Jennings, our pizza guy, Freddie Wood Oven Boston. He posted I think it was a TikTok clip or a Facebook short or something or another on a hot honey that he made, but he used red pepper flakes in his, and he did the same. The technique I did was the same technique that Freddie posted. That was where I was inspired to do this. And when I posted about this on my Facebook page, I credited Freddie for that technique, and it worked really well. The interesting thing is this honey, after a few days, the heat did pick up in the honey from where it was. It matured, and it's that honey's hot. It's definitely a hot honey. I would I personally would probably be happy with that same technique again with half as much habanero pepper in it. And I might try that because I did buy a second bottle of the honey because I didn't figure I'd get it right on the first try, but I got pretty darn close to where I wanted to be. So, like I said, the technique change that I'm going to make there is I will go to 12 ounces of honey. I will go to, I might go back to 1 teaspoon of my diced dried habanero pepper, and I will use a tablespoon of cider vinegar at the end. And during the steeping process, I'll go to 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I think at that stage, I'll have what I would consider to be perfection on a hot honey with habanero. And I want to do it again with I want to do it with the ghost peppers, but I'm I'm afraid of what I don't know where to start there. I might make it if I tried that with ghost peppers, I would probably start with 1/2 teaspoon of the dried ghosts because guys, I haven't learned how to tame the ghost yet. I did successfully make some ghost infused peanut oil with one not dried. It was a whole fresh habanero. I put in about 16 ounces or whole fresh ghost, and it's not overpowering. It's hot, but it's not overpowering. So, but what do you do with hot honey? Freddie drizzles it on pizza, and I think it's a perfect thing. I think it would be perfect drizzled on squares of Detroit style pizza or any kind of pizza. Uh, Pizzas are great with sweet things on it. So Janice says she's got some run amok chipotle.
Yep. Guys, Run Amok has, I'm going to say, 15 plus different flavors, variations that
Yeah,
I
they
have
don't
not
have all
found
on
one that I
the
don't like.
Yeah, I like that vanilla infused one.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's over ice cream, buddy.
yeah, it's good on anything. The one that's got cardamom in it's real good also. It's really nice.
And if you got small kids, you got to get the one with the sparkles in it for special occasions.
Honorog, that's out of my league, buddy. That's not going to happen around. I don't think I can handle it. So next project at the man cave beyond that was tri-tip. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, guys, and let me give you an update on this. My local food line had been having tri-tip, pork belly, and brisket, but I found out that it's seasonal. They said they would be getting no more in after November the 1st. And in fact, I was in there today and I bought another piece of pork belly that they had I bought a 6 pound slab that they had for $2.99 a pound. So we'll see. I don't know that they're going to be having it. The guy told me he didn't think he was going to have any much into November. So I've got 12 pounds or so of pork belly in the freezer that I'm going to do some more things with later. But this was a really nice looking uh, tri-tip, and I didn't get it on sale. That was $10 a pound, and that one's showing there about 2.5 pounds or so. So I wanted to do a seared tri-tip with. I wanted to make my whiskey sauce to go on it. So I also wanted to try something similar to the charred and scruff technique that Adam Perry Lang made popular quite a few years back. And what that is I took my boning and fillet knife and did a really tight diamond score on this, both sides. And the purpose of this is to create more surface area that can take the seasoning and take the char and the caramelization from the heat. So I did this on both sides, and I seasoned it with my Man Cave Magic #1, which is a salt, pepper, garlic blend, and I put that back in a vacuum seal bag. And due to some circumstances beyond my control, this guy ended up vacuum seal bag brining in my refrigerator for 2 days before I got back around to cooking it, which is fine. It worked out perfectly. So 2 days later, I get around to cooking, and the ingredients here, I'm going to publish the video on this weekend sometime. So I'll give you all the quantities, but this sauce had Jack Daniels in it, brown sugar, cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, black pepper, granulated garlic, cayenne pepper, and up here in the front, this white, this is cornstarch and a little bit of water back here because I don't want to reduce this sauce down enough to thicken it. I want the sauce flavor here happens quickly. I bring that sauce up to a simmer and let it simmer slowly with the lid off for about 10 minutes. And then I use a cornstarch slurry to thicken it up from there because I don't want to evaporate all the bourbon out of that, all the whiskey out of that. But anyway, this is what the tri-tip looked like after I took it out of the bag. And I decided to cook this guy on my Kamado Joe Classic. So I set up the firebox divider in the middle of the fire basket here and just set up briquette charcoal on one side of it. And I let that charcoal get good and hot. And I use the keep it flipping method on this guy. So I turn this guy every 30 seconds to a minute and just kept it going until I was happy with what it looked like on the outside. And you can kind of see it as I'm going here, the color starting to develop. And I've got several pictures here, and you can see a nice caramelization forming there as we flip and flip and flip and flip. I think I went 25 minutes or so just keeping this guy flipping over direct heat. And I do have my grate down on the lowest level of the divide and conquer for this, but I do not have a huge bed of charcoal underneath it. I didn't want to scorch anything. I wanted just to get kind of what you see here. And here's another picture, some more that it just keeps on developing. And here I'm getting close to being done. And it just so happens that I worked out on this one to where when I hit my target internal temperature, which was about, I wanted to get it off somewhere between 120 and 125 degrees. I didn't have to go to an indirect side to finish it up. I just kept it flipping over the direct heat for the whole time. It didn't get to do an indirect finish. And after I got where I wanted, I wrapped it in foil and I let it rest for about 10 or 15 minutes before I brought it in and sliced it open. And here's what we have. How's that look, Jeff?
Looks fantastic.
I just made the one slice through the middle. I was targeting somewhere between medium rare and medium, and I think I hit that pretty solid here.
Yep.
So there's just another picture of the cross section there. So maybe a couple more. I made several pictures, and then I made slices, and then I took the slices and laid them out and put them on a plate, and then I drizzled on some of that whiskey sauce that I made. Guys, if you haven't tried my whiskey sauce, I'd really love it. I'd love to get some of your feedback on it because this sauce brings 3 distinguishable flavors to the table. The whiskey is distinguishable here. The Worcestershire is distinguishable here, and the black pepper. So if you're not a fan of black pepper forward sauces, you might want to use less black pepper than I used in this one because it's good. This is what I would call a very forward sauce. People who wouldn't want, I don't want to compare this to A1 because it doesn't taste anything like A1, but it brings the same kind of boldness to the table that you would get out of something like A1. In fact, it brings a bolder flavor than A1.
The only thing that I would do different with your sauce, John, is I'd use W sauce instead of Worcestershire sauce. That'll take it to a whole nother level.
I'm out of that. I don't have any, and I can't buy it locally anywhere, so I'm going to have to order some more. But you're right. The W sauce would be a better choice here for sure. So what did Eric say there? I missed what he said. I'm doing small. Eric. Yeah, give it a try, man. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear back from you if you try this sauce. And it's really a simple technique. And also there's a great lesson to be learned here in making that sauce. And that the lesson that's very useful here is how to thicken any sauce you want to make with a cornstarch slurry. Uh, this is not a sauce that you would thicken with a roux, because if you thicken this with a roux, it's going to turn that sauce opaque, and it's going to totally make it. It's going to turn into a lighter colored brown gravy looking sauce. It's not going to taste like a brown gravy, but if you put the roux in there, that's what you're going to get. There's two great methods for thickening sauces. The roux is a great method that's part of French cuisine and the French methods, but the Asians, and I think this is more of an Asian technique, using the cornstarch slurry to thicken the sauce. And the other method for thickening a sauce is reduction. But what I mentioned here is I didn't want to reduce this one far enough to make it thick. And if I wanted to thicken that sauce by reduction, I would have only ended up with maybe 2 or 3 tablespoons of usable sauce at that point, because I didn't have enough brown sugar in there to make a really thick sauce from a reduction.
That right there is a nice consistency. It adds a nice sheen to your meat. It definitely going to complement.
Yeah, but the video will show you the technique I used. And the cornstarch slurry that I put in here, I've got it pretty much. The quantities I use give me the thickness that I'm looking for. You could make this thinner if you wanted to. This coats the back of a spoon very nicely, and it's a firmer thickness. I don't know how to describe this consistency without it. This might have the consistency of a if you're familiar with the Olive Garden Italian dressing. This sauce, the way I've done this sauce, it has about that consistency. So that's something to think about. So yeah, that turned out well. Pork belly. I also am almost finished up with this project, and I would have been done with it already had I not been working every day this week. But this is actually the first pork belly piece that I bought that was on sale. This is about 6 pounds, but I cut this guy in half, and I only used half of it for this project. I put the other half of it away for later use. But this was a really nice looking piece of pork belly. Here's a cross section of that. So the first thing I wanted to do was make some bacon with it. And so what I did, I made a bacon cure, which I'm making video on this as well, but it's not going to publish. It might come out next week because I haven't finished the project yet. But I made a homemade version of what is a Morton's Tender Quick. And this basically comes out, the recipe for this is 100 gram. I don't want to misquote this. So it's basically 1 cup of salt, 1/2 cup of sugar. And I can't remember the exact quantity of the pink curing salt that goes in this, but it's not very much. I don't want to misquote it though, because it's important that you get that right. So wait till I publish that video. But I made the cure. That's what I used. And I made, in fact, I can tell you what I made here, because I made I needed about 36 or 37 grams of cure for this. So I used 22 grams of salt, 11 grams of sugar, and about 4 or 5 grams of the Prague powder #1, because that's what I needed for the particular weight I had. So anyway, I made that cure up, and then I seasoned it. This is the piece of pork belly I'm working with on this bacon project. So I just sprinkled half of my cure on one side of it, patted it in real good, flipped it over, sprinkled the other half on the other side, and then I put it in the vacuum seal bag. And guys, 7 days. 7 days in the refrigerator, it'll cure. I just flipped it every day or so, kind of massaged the package to make sure that the liquid that was coming out was getting redistributed, making contact with the meat. And like I said, I put it back in the vacuum sealer. And this is after the 7 days. And I'm going to try to go back quickly. Look at this picture. And this pink colored meat 7 days later has turned a darker red. That's how you can tell the curing's going on here. So there's darker red after 7 days, and this is the pink before. So that the meat's actually changing colors. Here's what's happening, guys. You're developing a smoke ring. That's exactly the process that's going on here. I've made a smoke ring, but this smoke ring is not just on the outside. It goes all the way through the meat in 7 days' time with the curing salt. So that's exactly how a smoke ring gets created. So 7 days later, here we have this. So I took it out and I made a seasoning to go on it. And I basically, to make the seasoning, you don't want to add any more salt to this. So you either need a salt-free seasoning option or you got to make your own, because this is salty enough without adding another rub to this. It's got more salt in it. So I made a seasoning blend. It's something very similar to what I would put on pastrami. I did about equal parts of ground crushed coriander. I crushed whole coriander in my mortar and pestle, black pepper, and granulated garlic. And I just put that on both sides of this. I put it back in a vacuum seal bag and gave it another 24 hours in the refrigerator to give that seasoning blend time to season the outside of this meat.
Okay, John,
So,
did you wash
yeah.
the bacon after you finished the cure?
I did. I didn't mention that. I rinsed that off
Yep.
thoroughly and patted it dry with a paper towel after I took it out of the vacuum seal bag and before I put the seasoning on it. That's the cure that I made is not enough salt to over salt this, but it's a good idea still to rinse to get the liquid off the outside edge. Hey, Russ, glad you could make it in. We're talking about bacon. I'm showing a bacon cure that I actually still have going on here. But after this had seasoned in the vacuum seal bag for another 24 hours, the next morning I got out, took it out, took the vacuum seal bag off, and I put this guy, and I used my Bark pellet smoker as a cold smoker. And I wanted a good bit of smoke and I wanted it to happen quickly. So I used a smoke tube, a pellet tube, and my pellet maze. And I kept those guys going for about I think we went about 8 hours. And I've got a nice, good dark color change on this pork belly after 8 hours. And I put a thermometer in the grill just to see how hot it was getting. And I never, the grill never went over 120 degrees inside during this whole time. And that, as far for cold smoking meat or fish, 120 is fine. You can't cold smoke cheese at that temperature, obviously, but this is still considered cold smoking because I'm not going up anywhere near the temperature that the proteins would coagulate here. So, and also it's not going hot enough that any of that fat's going to actually render. It sweats a little, but it won't render. So when I got done with that, I pulled it out and put it back in my refrigerator on that same tray that I smoked it in and let it chill completely for 6 or 8 hours. Then I put it back in a vacuum seal bag because I wanted that smoke flavor to mature a little bit before I cut it. And guys, this is where I had to stop because of my work schedule this week. That's still in the refrigerator and I haven't cut this down yet and cooked any of it. You'll have to wait till next week to see that because I'm going to cut that down and cook some of it this weekend. And what I like to do when I've got bacon like this is I like to use some of it as slices, but I also like to take chunks of it and dice it. And there's a lot of great things you can use diced bacon for. And one of the things I'm hoping to do with some of this diced bacon is make a shrimp and grits dish with some finely diced bacon in the sauce that I'm going to make to go on the shrimp and grits. So that's something does that sound good, Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeff thinks that sounds good. Let me see what Anthony's asking here.
Pork fat rules, buddy.
Anthony, I have gone to Hickory. When it comes to pellet smokers, I'm only keeping Hickory pellets on hand because one of the issues, as everybody knows, pellet smokers don't produce as bold of a smoke profile as other smokers might, but you can always improve that by using a more intense smoke flavor in your pellets. So I have my previous favorite blend of pellets was the oak hickory or the oak pecan and cherry. And the reason I love that blend is because of the aroma. But I have ditched that and gone back to all hickory in favor of the smoke profile. And Aaron, I don't have a brand preference. I've used Traeger, I've used Lumberjack, I've used the Rural King brand, I've used Bear Mountain. Get whichever one you can get the cheapest that's hickory. And I'll stand by everything I've ever. It's the same way I feel about charcoal. I have used lots of different brands of pellets, and my advice to you is find the flavor profile you like and then buy the cheapest brand of it, because I have not seen any difference that's given me any different results. I use the cheap ones. The Bear Mountain pellets that I have right now, I paid $10 a bag for 20-pound bags for those at Academy Sports. Rural King has their own house brand, but my Rural King hasn't had hickory since I've started looking for it. They have apple and they have this blend they call the Southwest blend, which is pretty good, but it's not as good as plain hickory. So, but anyway, guys, that
the only caveat to that, John, is if you can get pure alder
right
pellets. That's
well,
really good.
Most of the pellets you're going to get are not going to be pure anything. If they specify it on Lumberjack makes some, and I think Lumberjack makes a 100% hickory. And if you can get that, get it. I would.
It's expensive, but you can get it.
Yeah, the Lumberjack pellets typically are $15 a bag. For most of the places I've seen them, they're $15 a bag for 20-pound bags. But they do have a couple of varieties that are. They have one that I know that's 100% oak. They've got 100% hickory. They have 100% apple. And I don't like the 100% apple, even though it smells good. They don't burn hot. They don't produce the heat. The oak and the 100% oak and the 100% hickory have high BTU potentials. If you want to cook hot, those are the kinds you want to cook with. But most pellets are not 100% whatever wood they're talking about. They're going to have a base of either oak or some other hardwood that's similar, and you're going to have anywhere from 15 to 30% of that blend is going to be whatever flavor wood they're telling you. Most of them are not 100%, but the stuff I'm using now is not 100% hickory, but it's producing the results I want. And like I said, Jeff and I have learned the trick for pellet grills. And when we're slow smoking, we do it at 200 degrees for an extended period of time. It lays down smoke on that meat as good as any other smoker I've got, if not better in some cases. And the results are easily duplicatable. Love a lamb with a pistachio butter parsley. Oh man, a pistachio crumble. Jeff, you'll have to answer that question because I don't do nuts.
I love ham with pistachio butter and parsley paste rub. Do you guys try this? No, but I might have to give that a go. That sounds good because pistachios add a nice flavor to it.
Right.
Now, I'm assuming, David, you go ahead and ground your pistachios in a mortar pestle?
So, Brian, I'm hitting on some Knob Creek single barrel. Jeff's having Jack Daniels, and my wife's drinking ginger ale.
She's drinking the hard stuff.
No, Tanya's the sensible one here in the crowd, and I'm getting ready to have maybe a little extra splash of my Knob Creek. But I got one more thing here I wanted to run by you. And guys, here's a perfect example of where my wife inspires me. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of detail on this because this is going to become a video that I hope to put out in early December. Tanya mentioned, I don't remember, Tanya, we talked about this maybe, I can't remember if we were live when we were talking about this or not, but Tanya gave me the idea. Tanya, let me just bring her in here. Tanya, were we live when we talked about this?
No.
Okay. Well, my wife tossed out an idea of making a Chipotle gingerbread cookie. And when she mentioned that, my wheels started turning, and I couldn't put it down. I couldn't. I was thinking, how's this going to come out? What's this going to taste like if we have Chipotle pepper in a gingerbread cookie? So cookies aren't my jam. I'm not going to claim to be a cookie chef in any way, shape, or form. So I went, Jeff, you know where I went to get help? Jeff knows.
Well, where you went to get help?
With the cookie recipe.
You went to Tanya.
I went to King Arthur Flour.
Oh, okay, King Arthur Flour.
Yeah, I got the King Arthur baker's book out. I think this is on their website also. I just found a King Arthur Flour gingerbread recipe that looked good, and I used it because when I've used King Arthur recipes, I've always had high levels of success. So just for grins and giggles, I went out and looked to see if anybody else had done this before, and this apparently is a thing. There's I found some other recipes out there for Chipotle gingerbread cookies, and I needed help with how much Chipotle do you put in this. So I came up with what I wanted to do here, and I basically used King Arthur's recipe for the dough, and I just put in a half a teaspoon of Chipotle powder, and I mixed. This is the mixed dough. I didn't put all of my pictures up here because, like I said, I'm going to make a video out of this, and I split the dough into two pieces. I kind of made rectangles out of it, wrapped it in plastic wrap because you have to put this in the refrigerator and let this chill. This particular dough is too soft to work right after you mix it. It's not a good consistency. You got to chill it to get it firm enough. And then you roll it out. And I borrowed Tanya's got gingerbread men cookie cutters, so I cut some and I baked them in the oven. And this is what they came out looking like the first batch. That one I know looks a little harsh. These don't look great, but that's the end of the pictures I've got to show on that. So let Tanya talk to you about what we ended up with.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. There were 8 gingerbread men, and I only got one.
What's wrong with that picture, Tanya?
Dude, you cheated me on gingerbread men.
No, I didn't.
John!
I didn't actually cheat you. I made you the rest of that batch and made round cookies instead of gingerbread man shaped cookies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got the other half of that dough batch.
Mm-hmm.
Guys,
well, anyway, so here's what the consensus was. First of all, the cookies were perfectly baked. They had the nice crisp edges and the nice soft chewy center. And they were by far some of the best gingerbread cookies I've ever had. And I eat a lot of gingerbread cookies because I happen to really love.
I'm not a cookie baker. Cookies are not my wheelhouse.
So it was really good. So then John made the other batch. Keep in mind, I only got one cookie out of the first one. All right, one cookie.
The wheels on the bus go thump, thump, thump.
Little round cookies. So I took them to work, and I asked my colleagues, "Hi, would you like to try an experimental gingerbread cookie?" To which all of them said, "Absolutely." And the consensus, I didn't tell them what was added to it, but the consensus was it was the best gingerbread cookie they'd ever had. They absolutely loved it. So, as a matter of fact, I did have one very angry coworker who approached me today and said, "Tanya, I heard that you were handing out experimental gingerbread cookies, and I did not get any." And I said, "That is true. I was told
today that I'm making another batch of these. I was told today to resolve that problem."
Hey, John, how's your back feel, buddy? I think there's tire marks on it from being thrown under the bus.
No, Tanya's not Tanya, no,
They were really good.
I'm gonna own that. I'll own that.
They were really, really good. A lot of people couldn't figure out what the mystery ingredient was, but they were all very much in favor of the mystery ingredient.
Did you put any frosting on them?
No, not on these.
Not for
That's
these.
gonna
These were
we're gonna
test.
do that for the final product. I just wanted to. This was experimental to see if the flavor was where we thought it was going to be awesome, because I couldn't make up my mind if Chipotle was going to ruin a gingerbread cookie or if it was going to take it to the next level.
Spoiler
Now,
alert,
as you know,
it does not ruin it.
ginger is spicy, guys. Ginger's not sweet. Ginger is a spice, and it's there's ginger in this. So, oh man, okay.
It's not a bad idea.
Anthony, don't even start, because I could make a bourbon frosting for this. We could put a bourbon cream cheese frosting on that would.
That's what I'd be leaning towards.
Bourbon royal frosting.
In fact, that
up.
cream cheese frosting could contain its own small amount of chipotle.
Yep.
Oh man, Anthony, shut him up, Tanya. Don't let him go any further. That would be crazy, man. But Tanya wants to make some royal frosting and kind of make something that looks like our traditional. If I go back to the gingerbread man shape, which we would, I would probably put, two little eyes, a mouth, and maybe a couple of buttons down the middle of that.
Yeah, I would have outlined the cookie too.
Outlined it. I don't know, man. I would really like to find a gingerbread cookie cutter that would give me a little bit different definition and shape than that's a little taller, a little thinner. And I'm remembering these gingerbread cookies that I would get when I was young. They weren't homemade. They came from a grocery store, but they had a very defined shape. And they also had, Tanya, what's that thick, heavy crystal sugar that people put on top of things that are already baked? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the crystal sugar, yeah.
Yeah, it had that on it, and it had some frosting on it, but they were grocery store variety gingerbread cookies. But the shape of those, they're a little taller and a little thinner than these. These guys, they bake out a little bit. And also, one of the things I talked to Tanya about yesterday is I need a roller. I need a rolling pin where I can roll these out to an even thickness all the way across. That's part of the problem I had.
You need to get the rolling pin with the rims on the edge.
Yeah, Tanya's got some, but I don't know if we have any that I can get a 1/4 of an inch with. We do.
Well, some of them have the interchangeable rings, John.
Well, she's got that.
So you can do the 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, whatever you want.
Okay, if
I got those.
So Tanya's got that, so I'll be able to get it rolled out to an even thickness next time. That's a little problem I ran out here because I was hand rolling this and it wasn't even. So.
And one thing too, John is fell into mention here is he had a veritable cornucopia of gingerbread men cutters that he could have used in all sizes, because I happen to be slightly obsessed with gingerbread men.
Well, I used the biggest one you had. That's the largest one, the one.
Oh man, John, you're back.
No, I'm
She's just slamming you.
She showed me what she had, and I picked what I wanted to use. So anything that's not right there is my fault.
And then he was giggling, going, "Do you have any gingerbread women?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And pulled out another 5 cookie cutters.
And then her nephew said, "What's different about a gingerbread woman?" And I said, "They have boobs."
That is exactly what he said. So, my nephews are 16 and 17. They were ready to crawl under the table.
No,
well, at least that's better than what Alexa asked my granddaughter this week.
Oh boy, that was rough. But anyway, guys, we're gonna have. I want to do the gingerbread cookie things, and also when the time comes, I'm gonna cook those on the grill. We're gonna put those on. I'm probably going to put them on the Kamado Joe because this is a quick cook. It's a 350-degree cook for 10 minutes is all it takes to cook these. So I'm going to cook them on. Yeah, I'm going to cook. I don't know, Jeff, if smoke going to ruin these things or not. So I don't know.
I don't think you're going to get that much of a smoke flavor in 10 minutes, John. If you're using just your Royal Oak lump, I don't think you're going to get a smoke flavor.
Yeah, I would do these on the clean grill. I would do these on my bacon grill.
I don't think you're going to get much flavor at all in them in 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, in that case, I'm probably going to do them on the. I'll do them on my Kamado Joe Classic 2, which is the grill I cook everything but meat on. There is no meat residue in that. And Beth, I won't get when I use Royal Oak lump in that grill at 350 degrees, the smoke's going to be indetectable. But being John Sessler, being Man Cave Meals, I got if I'm going to make video, I got to cook it on the grill. It's got to be done.
I agree with that. Just don't run the gingerbread men, and don't show me another plate with 8 gingerbread men that you only gave me one of. God, I cannot believe you.
Okay, well, no. All right.
I need to go down to the man cave and start inspecting. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well.
Go down there and state your claim. Put a fork in. This is mine.
This is a man cave, but some of the girls in this house do wander down here occasionally. But the boy cat is pretty quick about running them off when they show up down here. So anyway, that's all I've got for tonight, guys. I wanted to tell you something. I apologize. I had a guest lined up for tonight that I'm really looking forward to having on. And because of my work schedule this week, I didn't have time to do the prep I needed to have her on with us. But she's going to be coming on hopefully not next week, but the following week. We're going to have somebody I think you're going to enjoy meeting. Some of you, we'll talk about her later, but she's an inspiring barbecue cook that I've been following ever since she showed up in my Kamado Guru Facebook page. So if I missed anything I need to answer, Tanya?
No, I had bookmarked all the ones that I thought you needed to answer, and we've already got those covered. So.
Okay, well, awesome. I'm just finishing off that little extra splash.
Oh, Mike had a question right quick.
Mike, I get mine on Amazon. The brand name that I've been buying on Amazon is Ultra Source, all one word. But let me tell you, I feel bad about this because I had Andrew on last week from JVR, and if you're going to buy quantities of 1,000, look at jvrinc.com. Look at their website because their prices on 1,000 quantities is as good as I've been getting on Amazon. So I will most likely start buying everything I get from JVR because I do buy 1,000 quantity when I buy bags. And I talked to one of his employees last week about some 12 by 12 bags. I'm thinking, I told you I've been using 10 by 13s as my large bag, and the sealer bar on my VAC 100 is about 12 and a half inches. It's plenty long enough to seal a 12-inch bag. So I asked him if he would send me a small sampling of 12 by 12 bags. So I think those 12 by 12 bags might work out better for my large bag choice. And if they do, I'm going to probably order 1,000 of those from him. But the Amazon bags I buy are brand Ultra Source, all one word, and they have quite a few different sizes, and they also have different quantities. I think you can order some of their stuff in quantities of 500 instead of 1,000 if you don't want to buy that. And I perfectly understand. I know everybody doesn't need 1,000 bags, but Tanya knows how much I run this vacuum sealer, and I said,
every day.
I am coming close to having been through 2,000 just 8 by 10s. I use it, and it's Mike, which one of these do you have? Did you tell me you ordered the VAC 100 or did you have it already? I know somebody that was here last week when we had Andrew on, told me that they had ordered a VAC 100 right after we had that, had the show. I can't remember if Mike was the one or not, but somebody did. But and also I buy 3 mil bags, the 3 mil thickness, and am going to buy some 4 mil bags because I have recently run into my first issue. I've not had this happen in the past, but I was vacuum sealing some baby back ribs with the bones showing, and I got one piece that I couldn't get a good seal on because I kept puncturing the bag with the bones. So I'm going to get a 4 mil bags for sealing ribs and stuff like that. So that's where we are. What else we got? Is that going to wrap us up?
Well, we did have one thing that I didn't post up as a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hot honey peanut brittle.
Okay, so is peanut brittle made with honey? I don't know. I've never made peanut brittle.
I've never made it with honey, but that doesn't mean that you can't.
Well, Tanya, do you like peanut brittle?
I do like peanut brittle.
All right. Well, I'll give it a try then, because I won't be one to be able to tell you if it's any good or not, because I won't eat peanuts. So
yeah.
But in my opinion, you could make peanut brittle without peanuts in it, right?
Why?
Why would you want to do that?
Well, you would want to do that if you might like the brittle part but don't like the peanuts.
So, John, do you have an aversion to all nuts or just peanuts?
Yes, all nuts.
Oh, okay. I was going to say almonds, pecans,
No,
it's all nuts.
I love the flavors of all those. I keep amaretto.
It's a texture issue.
Keep frangelica. I keep almond flavor. I keep my almond flavored and hazelnut flavored liqueurs on hand for cooking, but I don't eat the nuts. A New Mexico place that makes brittle with peppers. Okay, so that's not an unheard of thing.
Then we wouldn't be taking you to New Orleans for some pecan
pralines.
What is thank you, pralines. Name what?
Johnny wouldn't. Johnny won't eat that.
Oh man, Johnny, we have to expand your horizons.
Jeff,
Anthony, let me really freak your dog out. You know what? One of my favorite things that my mom makes for me? No chicken pie.
Yeah. You think I'm weird. Yeah, Tanya won't eat chicken. So there. Take that, you. So, yeah, we gotta wrap up. I gotta start thinking about getting some sleep because I gotta get up at 5:30 again in the morning. And,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that tomorrow's the last morning I'm going to have to do that. I'd like to get kicked over to the weekend shift finally and get back on my regular schedule. But yeah, everything's looking good so far with the new job. My anxiety levels are falling off. I was really, really, really stressing changing jobs at my age. I'm 54 years old. I had been working at my previous employer for 13 years, and I was really worried about how things were going to go with me switching, throwing all that out, trying something new. But I'm so far, it looks like I've made a really good choice, and I'm happy about it so far. I've met a lot of great people. So, all right, next week, guys, I will have the tri-tip video published this weekend, and I'm probably going to publish the bacon video the following week. And then I'm going to start having a look at this gingerbread thing that's turned out to be amazing. And guys, I know most of you are also not into baking cookies or baking cakes on your grill, but I want to tell you something. This gingerbread thing is something you really need to think about giving it a try. It is a next level gingerbread cookie. I'm in agreement with this one. I tasted this before I let Tanya taste it, and
which is why I didn't get cookies.
she confirmed my suspicion that we were onto something here. So, and also all the people that she shared cookies with, she didn't have anybody saying they didn't think that was awesome. So,
all right, I loved it.
Yep. All right, guys. Until next week, y'all have a good week. And if you've got any Christmas suggestions for me that do not include prime rib, I might do a prime rib. I'll probably do a prime rib. But if you've got anything else you'd like to see during the Christmas season, let me know. I'm considering goose. Did you say goose? Okay. I thought that's what I heard, and I was telling Tanya we saw some ducks this week.
Not a duck, goose.
Yeah, I can. The problem is the only place I know of that I can get a goose around here is Walmart. They carry goose during the Christmas season, but I'll have to see if I can get it early enough, because if I can't get a goose and get it published the first part of December, I'm not going to do it, because that's something people need to see and think about beforehand.
I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I don't think they get their gooses in until about 2 weeks before Christmas.
I've done a goose video. It's on the Kamado Joe channel, but it's quite old. And my experience from doing that goose, I know if I do another one, I'll be able to improve it dramatically. So,
okay.
All right, I'll see if I can find a goose. Not many people. Goose is an old school Christmas dinner. I don't think there's that many people that are interested in doing goose anymore. But I'll do one, and I want to do a prime rib. But the problem is the prime rib video is going to be no different than my previous prime rib videos, because I am set on how I like to cook prime rib. It's going to be a repeat, but that's fine. I don't mind doing it again. I like my prime rib. I like the way I cook it, and I don't really think I've got a lot of room for improvement on the way I like to cook prime rib. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. That's the kind of comments I like to hear. Oh boy. Kevin.
And there's Kevin.
Oh boy. Henry won't come up here and get on camera with me anymore. He used to.
I have the door locked. Well, shut.
That's true.
Emmy's up here with me.
All right, guys, I'm out. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you next Thursday.